Strachan makes a darting little run behind the two men who were confronting Haddock. The ball's gone instead to Jones. Now it's found Strachan. He twists and turns. The best he can do is to win a corner, which he thinks about taking quickly. Leeds have three men up there, and it's gone beyond the road. It nearly went in off the defender on the line, who was Cliff Carr. Now Strachan times this pass right, and he has done. It's a great chance for Leeds. It's 2 against 1. Hendry must do it himself, plays it to Chapman, and Stoke get back. Butler took the ball off Chapman's toe. And what was Hendry thinking about, really? He should have been much more positive there. Hendry does well, gets round one, comes inside the second. Hendry, can he make a goal for Fairclough? What a fine stop from Fox. He refinds Ellis, and the referee awards the penalty against Batty. And this could be a scoreline to reverberate around the country. Nobody would have predicted it, certainly, but if Biggins scores, this will be it. And Mervyn Day makes a splendid save. What an excellent stop. And Mervyn Day, who last week saw a penalty whiz over his crossbar at Blackburn, has to make the stop this time, but Biggins struck it well enough. Batty, that's a delightful pass, and again it's Hendry, and Chapman surely now for Leeds. He can't control it, and is he brought down? It's a penalty for Leeds. Peter Fox is adjudged to have brought down Lee Chapman there, so it's Strachan against Fox. Strachan wins, Leeds are in front, and you can sense the relief around the ground. Owen Whitlow, and that could fall fortuitously, almost did for Batty. Back pass wasn't on, but Davison wins it back. Now it comes through, and Batty leads the chase out, and he's got Hendry wide on his right. He delayed a little bit. Hendry is barged over inside the penalty area. Hendry scores though. John Hendry gets the second for Leeds.
Leeds travelled to Swindon on a high. They were still 4 points clear of Sheffield United. But Swindon themselves had moved up to third, and it was Leeds who were riding their luck early on. Swindon pushing hard for the goal, but just failing. But it was Leeds who scored first against the run of play. A long kick from Mervyn Day, flicked on by Chapman, and then John Hendry taken down. Was it inside or outside the box? Swindon thought outside, the referee thought in, and Gordon Strachan did the business as usual. Swindon, though, would hit back. First with a really scrambled effort from Alan McLaughlin. And the second Swindon goal, a decent header from Steve Foley. Swindon led 2-1. But Leeds would draw level with an instinctive effort from John Hendry. The honours in the end of the day went to Swindon with an outstanding strike from Ross McLaren, but left Leeds with nothing.
The astute Leeds manager knew there was always a danger of complacency settling in, or maybe even injuries disrupting his plans for the season. He knew the team needed a lift, and to do that he decided to reinvigorate by bringing in first-team squad players of the calibre of Chris Kamara, Imre Varadi and a very young Gary Speed.
People coming in fresh, who've maybe been in a situation where they're not doing so well, to come into an environment where people have got used to doing well. It's good that people come in who are not used to it and who actually can still say, hey, hang on a minute, maybe you've got a bit too used to what you're enjoying here, you know, and actually work as a positive inside in that sense, and physically as well as mentally, just to say to 2 or 3 players, you know, if you don't keep your foot on the pedal, there's somebody there, a genuine threat.
So Wilkinson's message to his players was avoid complacency. I think something got lost in translation somewhere. Instance, a 7-goal thriller with Hull City.
Nobody could have imagined the drama this game was going to produce. Yorkshire neighbours and rivals Hull were struggling at the bottom end of the table.
And I remember seeing there was a gap and the goalkeeper was off his line. I thought, well, I've got a chance here, and it was meant. It was meant. People think, did you mean that, John? And it was meant, because I thought, well, if you get height in there, I mean, if it's go over a goalkeeper's head, somebody's got to handle it on the line, and it was inch perfect. But for me, it was just like an ordinary average goal compared to the other goals in the match. There was some great goals, and it was a terrific game.
It was a fantastic opener from Hendry. Strachan's corner flicked on by Lee Chapman, and Hendry's header sailed over the keeper, perfectly placed. Not even Billy Askew with his fist could keep it out. Hull's equaliser, though, was highly controversial. Vinnie Jones was injured, lying in the visitors' box. But the Hull players carried on. And Peter Haddock's tackle on Dave Bamber won the Tigers a penalty. As Jones received treatment, Andy Payton took a long run up and slammed the spot kick past Mervyn Day. The Leeds fans were soon cheering again, though, as Vinnie Jones produced one of the goals of the season. He'd always had the ability to score stunning goals and proved it yet again. Leeds back in front. And spectacularly so. But in the second half, Dave Bamber was again adjudged to have been tripped. This time by Chris Fairclough. And so Andy Payton would have another chance to score. And we all know how he takes them. Leeds had conceded 2 at home for the first time all season. And worse was to come. Soon afterwards, it was the Welsh international Steve Doyle who put Hull even further in front. A cracking effort, leaving Day bemused. The Leeds fans silenced momentarily. Still, the drama in this Yorkshire derby continued. A typical mazy run from Strachan. He found Imre Varadi, and at the second attempt, Varadi tucked it away. In the closing stages, it was a real battle in midfield. Then Jones found Strachan in the box, and the birthday boy sealed the win. 4-3, a victory for Leeds that had shown immense character and resolve.
But it was typical of the season that as soon as Leeds seemed set on a run towards the title, results didn't quite go their way.
The day started well at Portman Road. A Jones throw, Strachan caused problems in the Ipswich defence. His cross found Lee Chapman on the 6-yard line, and we know what happens next. Ipswich's equaliser, though, did have a touch of fortune about it. There was no luck in the move as they swept towards the Leeds goal. But when John Walk's deft back heel found Bradford-born Chris Kiwomya, the shot was deflected over the stranded Day. Leeds were back in front, same combination. Strachan, Chapman, already prolific in a Leeds shirt. 2-1 to Leeds. But then poor marking in the box left Walk unmarked, and the Scottish international was not going to miss from that range. 2-2. When the Baggies arrived at Ellen Road, Strachan again provided the crosses for the goals, the first of them from Chris Kamara. Strachan again, and this time a typical diving header from you-know-who, Lee Chapman. Leeds 2-up. But then the United back four was caught on the back foot, not just once but twice. First, Leeds-born Don Goodman slotting past Mervyn Day. And then Kevin Bartlett, looking suspiciously offside, beat the chap, went around Day and levelled things up. Mel Sterland returned to the side for the trip to Watford, but the usually tight Leeds defence had now let in 11 goals in 5 games. Watford keeper Tony Coton kept a profligate Leeds at bay. 2 disallowed goals in the Port Vale game, 1 for each side, meant Leeds had only taken 3 points from a possible 12. They were still top of the league, as they had been since the 9th of December, but they hadn't scored in their last 2 games.
There was a fear that we didn't want to get beat. We didn't want to, lose our position in the league. There was a fear of not getting promoted, which is an incredible thing. You can turn fear. Some people can turn fear into a positive emotion. Some people turn fear into a negative, and they kind of deal with it. And we were all right. We, as far as I'm concerned, we dealt with the fear factor.
This was definitely a poor run and not indicative of a championship winning side. Something had to happen to make the tide turn back Leeds' way, and for many people that happened at Oxford United.
Half time at Oxford, I was not best pleased. And you know, when you're a manager and you've had a lot of experience, what you can't do is let your emotion rule your brain.
It was a lacklustre Leeds side in the first half. They looked on first as John Durnin put the home side in front. And when Paul Simpson capitalised on hesitant defending, Leeds really weren't in the game. At half-time, the Leeds team faced a furious manager.
Nobody makes individual mistakes on purpose. The things you can't forgive are those things that you've practiced. They are not individual. There are matters of maybe concentration.
Half time we went in and Wilco gave us a good rollick in, and the second half, different team altogether. You know, we went out and absolutely murdered them.
The players responded in some style to their manager's stinging criticism. First, Lee Chapman found the ball at his feet and drilled it into the far corner. Then Imre Berardi turned a low cross home, and from that moment on, there was going to be only one winner. After a trademark Jones long throw, Oxford scrambled to get the ball out of the box. But Chris Fairclough was there to loop his header home and give Leeds the lead. A most unlikely scenario at half-time. Wilkinson brought on Gary Speed, he robbed Steve Foster and found Lee Chapman. The manager had again proved his tactical awareness, though this time he hadn't remained as calm as usual.
Sometimes you do sit there and think, I've got to go in there and I've got to breathe fire and brimstone. And because it's important at the time. Not because it suits you, it gets it off your chest. Because they've got to go out a better team than they came in. That's the bottom line.
It was like the John Hendry of old. The John Hendry, right, come on then, John, just go out there, play with a bit of flair, play with no fear, just be out there and be a pest. Get your crosses in, get your shots in. And in 45 minutes, it was just like one-way traffic. And it was, I loved that 45 minutes.
Wilkinson's team had been transformed in that second half, and Lee Chapman carried on where he left off against Oxford in the home game against West Ham United. There'd certainly been no criticism of the defence this time around.
The West Ham game witnessed a masterclass from Leeds captain Gordon Strachan. A sublime back heel opening the door for Chapman's first. Strachan's ability to link things together was crucial in this Leeds side, and he yet again found Lee Chapman. Leeds had stunned the Hammers, and it was the same combination proving so fruitful. Pinpoint accuracy from the crosser and the marksman. What a combination they were turning out to be on the race towards the title. The Londoners did pull a goal back though, and the phrase close-range effort might have been meant for this one. Netted by Trevor Morley. But with Gary Speed again looking dangerous, Leeds' inspirational captain was here at the back post, and Strachan volleyed Leeds further in front. Perfect for the cameraman. The little imp had struck again. But this was a day on which Lee Chapman would get a hat-trick. Unfortunately, on this occasion, he put it past his own goalkeeper, but the result was never in doubt.
The title race was as tight as ever as Leeds travelled back up to Roker Park for the return fixture, and everybody knew it would be a feisty affair, made even more feisty by the fact that Leeds had had an allocation of only 500 tickets. So 5,000 fans packed into Ellen Road to watch on the big screen. I was one who was at Roker Park.
It was very, very hostile to say the least. I mean, I think from the Bob Stoker Cup final days, there's always been a wee bit of rivalry there. But we just had to put all that behind us and just be up there mentally strong and go out there and get a result.
And here come Leeds United, led by their captain Gordon Strachan, and just one change from that successful side against West Ham United on Saturday, and that is after his suspension, David Batty is back in the side, to the exclusion of John Hendry, who takes his place on the substitutes bench along with Bobby Davison. Great rivals these two, as Verratti tries to turn, tries to tee up Strachan, whose little chip through might yet find Chapman, and it's going to be a Leeds corner. Bracewell had to put it out. Well, Chris Fairclough's got a few goals with his head from corners. Chapman's on the near post. Jones is in there as well. Oh, and a firm header! A cracking goal from Mel Sterland. What a super goal, and Sterland goes to the 500 Leeds fans who have made the journey. And that header went like a rocket into the net. Well, he scored a goal at Sheffield United this year, which he said was the best he'd ever scored with his right foot from 35 yards. But this one here goes into the net like a bullet. He can't possibly have seen it, Tony Norman. He certainly didn't react. And Mel Sterland has given Leeds the lead. Gary Speed. Oh, and he did well to get a foot in there. Fairclough lopes forward and finds Strachan. Oh, cleverly done again by the little Scotsman. Waited for Sterland, and the build-ups between Strachan and Sterland have been marvellous tonight. It's over here, Speed, Verratti, and a great stop by Norman. That really was a fine save. He didn't have very long in which to size that one up, and it was creeping in. The cross again from Sterland. The header won over there by Speed. Verratti with little time put in the shot, and Norman with even less saved it. So Leeds got their goal from a corner in the first half. I wonder, Strachan to take it, drives it low. Oh, what a smack! And a great stop as well. Gary Speed hit that with his left foot, and it was soaring under that crossbar. Tony Norman had to be at his most alert. Clever corner again from Strachan, but I'm full of admiration for the way Speed struck his shot and for the way Norman tipped it over. Referee Dilks has already looked at his watch as Chapman gets a good flick on. It's it. Leeds have won, Sunderland 0, Leeds United 1, and 3 vital points for Leeds United in the race to get into the first division. And those fans, all 500 of them, will feel that the journey has been so worthwhile.
With those impressive performances starting at Oxford, Leeds had got their championship hopes back on track. Portsmouth came to Ellen Road with a new manager, John Gregory. He'd just taken over from Alan Ball, and they were beaten. But then the pressure started to mount again.
Leeds started well, with Strachan pulling the strings, and when Mel Sterland was brought down after latching onto the through ball, everybody expected the captain to be as ruthless as ever from the spot. For once he wasn't. Strachan's first penalty miss. Good save by Alan Knight though. Unfazed, Strachan tricked his way into the box, slid the ball to Jones, and he calmly placed it over Knight. In the second half, Jones very nearly doubled his and the Leeds tally with a wonderful effort, forcing Knight to tip over the crossbar. The Portsmouth keeper was certainly busy, but he dashed off the line again to deny Davison. The ball scrambled away at the last second. But not even Knight could stop Chapman heading home from the Strachan corner, as again the Leeds marksman proved his value. More frustration followed. Leeds could only manage 2 points from 12, and they faced a very busy schedule. Bradford City made the short journey to Ellen Road with the worst away record in the league. And Leeds found it difficult to break them down. The visitors were battling hard. Local pride very much at stake. Then the ever-improving Gary Speed arrived at just the right time to score his first goal in Leeds United colours. Joyous moment for the youngster. Naturally, Leeds went looking for a second and came close. Then calamity. First, the referee moved a Bradford free kick closer to the Leeds goal. From it, he gave a penalty for Peter Haddock's challenge. It was a terrible blow for Leeds. They'd pressurised Bradford all afternoon. Tinian's goal meant they had to share the points. Peter Haddock gave away another penalty as the points were also shared down at home park. Wilkinson defended his player and made it clear what he expected from the side. Again, Leeds failed at Boundary Park. Oldham a bit of a bogey side for Leeds. The return of Bobby Davison, the only positive thing to take from the game.
We were the big club, we were the front runners, we were the club that was supposed to have everything. The fact is we didn't, but we pretended we did.
It wasn't a runaway lead. There was always teams in and around us. We always felt we were good enough to do it and that we should go up as champions, but there's always that fear that, you know, we didn't string sort of 6 3-0 wins together. You know, we was always a little bit up or down. So yeah, no, one bad result at that stage was not good news.
So the pressure was on, and when the pressure's on, things don't always go to plan. The worst thing you can do then in that circumstance is have nervousness, and so you certainly can't have a nervous manager.
Naturally, Wilkinson had a huge amount of faith in his players, even though the title appeared to be slipping through their fingers. Next to come to Ellen Road would be fellow title contenders Sheffield United, and in his usual meticulous way, Sergeant Wilco formulated a plan, and it all revolved around the opposition goalkeeper, Simon Tracy.
I felt he was a little bit suspect, temperamentally. So you try to maximise your strengths and maximise their weaknesses, negate their strengths. So I worked with them on different people pressurising him when he had the ball and not allowing him to do anything as easily as he might want to.
Tactically, we're brilliant. And what he did, he used to get Bobby Davison to stand on the goalkeeper. And it was fantastic. You know, it worked.
If someone was doing that to me, I think I'd have reacted slightly differently to Simon Tracy, but Tracy's a bit of a hot-headed goalkeeper, and Howard knew that.
This was more than just an ordinary derby game. Leeds needed to make a statement of intent. And so they did. Gary Speed headed the ball into Strachan's path, and with a little assistance from Chris Kamara, the little man placed it home. Into the second half, and another great run from Speed. He picked out Lee Chapman. It was all going Leeds' way. Then Wilkinson's plan started to work. Bobby Davison chased a through pass and the ball found its way back to the Sheffield keeper.
Simon's tried to clear the ball. He's getting frustrated. He boots it against me. And it drops towards the cop, towards the corner flag, but it stays in the box. I've run after it and I've just had a little glance over my shoulder and he's steaming after me as well. And I know he's going to try and dive on the ball. And just as he gets there, I just moves the ball and he just takes me out. And it's a penalty.
It was clear cut, but it certainly left Tracy fuming. Despite the protests, a penalty it was. Typically, Strachan put it away in style. Leeds by now were rampant. The final goal demonstrated the home side's superiority and class. Chris Kamara won the ball with a well-timed tackle, then played Gary Speed in with the outside of his boot, and the emerging star ran half the length of the field and kept his nerve to finish coolly.
Massive result against a team that were a hell of a team in that division at that time, and team was the right word. I mean, they could punch above their weight.
A great buzz, not just for the crowd, great buzz for us, the manager, all the players were excited, and we couldn't wait for the next game.
After the result against Sheffield United, Leeds were clear favourites at the Goldstone ground. Fairclough, Chapman, Varady all at the near post. It's come to a Brighton head, and that's a goal for Gary Speed. And it's taken Leeds less than 10 minutes to go in front here at Brighton. Beglin down, it could be awkward here. Bremer tries to turn, tries to set up his man, and Brighton have got their equaliser. Strachan, and Leeds are picking it up a little. Chapman through, shut. Not quite a clear run on goal. Strachan is round the keeper. Can Strachan finish it? Oh, he's turned it across the face of the goal. An own goal. Would you believe it? Drama here at the Goldstone ground. Wilkins delivers another one, and it's aimed towards the same vacant area, and it's a goal. Brighton have equalised, and it's Cramplin.
It was an equaliser that really hurt Leeds. When they took the lead through a bizarre Ian Chapman own goal, it seemed fortune had travelled all the way to the south coast with them. But no, this would be a title race that would test the resolve of the fans all the way to the finishing line. Well, next up, a Yorkshire derby against Barnsley, a side struggling to avoid relegation. It would be quite a titanic clash, but the Leeds fans knew if they won this one, they were almost there. The Leeds players looked tired. It was their 6th game in 18 days. They were denied an early appeal for a penalty when Mel Sterling went down. The referee didn't think it was one. Then the influential central defender Chris Fairclough clashed heads in the middle of the park and had to be helped off by physio Alan Sutton moments later for stitches to be inserted. He returned and almost immediately and heroically rose to head Leeds in front before the break. It was a classic Fairclough header from Sterling's cross. In the second half, Leeds started well, but Barnsley's break came from an unusual error from Mervyn Day. As the long ball came through, there was confusion in the defence. The normally reliable Day came off his line. The communication breakdown allowed Brendan O'Connell to tap the ball home.
The worst 10 minutes of my life. In football terms. We were 1-0 up, cruising, and I think it was a through ball, and all I had to do was put my foot through it. I tried to be too clever, play it out to Mel Sterling on the right hand side, and it slid off the outside of my foot, 1-1.
Leeds pressed again, but the normally fluent partnership between Strachan and Chapman simply wasn't working that night. The nerves were jangling. And it was a Leeds-style long throw that saw Barnsley take the lead, with Owen Archdeacon managing to beat Day. The majority of Leeds' attacks were focused down the right flank, but it was clear it was not going to be their day. Frustration was mounting on and off the field, and it continued to the very end, and when Lee Chapman headed against the crossbar, Leeds knew their day wasn't going to get any better.
Sometimes you sit there in a game and experience tells you, God, we're going to have to do well to win this, because every little thing seems to be the night when you're not going to be at your luckiest. Players aren't at their best. Some of your key players aren't performing as well as they can.
You know, Howard weren't happy. We weren't happy because we thought we should have beat him, and we could have beat him. And you know, the confidence were all in the changing room. We're on the pitch as well, but unfortunately we got beat 2-1, and it was a kick up the backside for us.
The final home game of the season was an emotional roller coaster. A sellout crowd knew if results went right, then Leeds, who'd been top of the league for 3 months, would be promoted. The dream would become reality. All that needed to happen was for Leeds to beat Leicester and for Newcastle United not to beat West Ham.